We're live.
We're live. All right. Hello, everybody. Man, we already have 26 viewers. That is crazy. Okay. It is 8 o'clock. Welcome to the preseason JNBA and IL Preps Insider preseason rankings. We are joined by special guest Brooke Ceramic to start. So thank you for joining us today. Before we get into the rankings really quick, once again, I'm Luke from Illinois Preps Insider. That's at IL Preps Insider on Twitter, www.ilprepsinsider.com. And with Jason Nichols, coach of Montini Catholic and also part of the JNBA. You can follow him on Twitter at JNBA Hoops 2018.
That's correct.
Got that right. Yeah, I know you guys have been waiting for this for quite a long time, probably since the end of last season if you love high school basketball like I do. So let's just jump right into it.
Brooke, Wisconsin commit Bennett, who is obviously going to have probably a lot of people think you're maybe the number one, number two team, a team that can compete for a state championship. First off, why Wisconsin?
It's always been like one of my dream schools. It was also like a family school for us. Like my dad grew up in Wisconsin, and a lot of people like kind of thought like maybe my dad pressured me into going there just because like that was like all of our dream schools. But like I picked that on my own. Like the coaches there are so nice, and the teammates, like the current Wisconsin team, was just like so welcoming to me. Like I'm close with them now, and then the incoming class next year I'm already close with. And it's just like the campus is so pretty. Everyone there just like knows what kind of atmosphere like everyone wants. Like it's very family oriented, and just everything about the school is like something that I wanted. Like a big school, family atmosphere, like everyone's encouraging each other. And I know like the team is improving a lot. Like I went to a game last weekend, and they just like look so much better than before.
They played against your sister, didn't they?
Yeah, they played against my
sister. Yeah, a little preseason action.
Yep.
Where she's at, give her a little shout out.
She goes to Oshkosh. She is coming off of a torn ACL, so she just got cleared.
Good.
And so she got to play like her first real minutes at Wisconsin.
I have to say, as a Marquette alum, seeing a player of Brooke's caliber going to Wisconsin hurts a little inside, but we won't hold that against you.
And what did you like about Coach T? I mean, I got to know him when he was at Notre Dame with Muffet McGraw because he recruited a bunch of our kids, and I just thought the way he presents himself in his program, like they struggled, but he's going to get it to where they're the top of the Big Ten, without a doubt. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. And like just like the whole recruiting process with Wisconsin was like my favorite. Like I always wanted to go back up and visit. I always wanted to go see the coaches again. And like they're not going to tell you something and then like on the court they're going to show you something different. Like it's all like very straightforward. They'll be honest with you, and then what they tell you, that's what you're going to get when you're there.
Well, let's throw it back to high school a little bit. Expectations are a huge thing. And not saying you guys weren't expected to win last year, because you said a great season.
Yeah. But
returning everybody except Simba, pretty much. Expectations have got to be through the roof in comparison to last season. How do you guys dealt with that so far?
I think a lot of us are feeling like pressure from it, but we know that we can be a really good team. And if we keep working, like our practices have been so intense lately, like compared to last year, that I know they have been. And I know we're pushing each other, and I know the seniors, pretty much the whole team wants that state title this year, like so bad. And I think we do have a solid chance at getting it, but we just have to keep pushing each other.
Well, you just talked about your practices being intense. You have 10 to 11 or 12 kids that all play AAU club ball.
Yeah, all of us
like
do.
Most high schools can't duplicate that in practice. You might have 3 or 4 good kids, and they're playing against kids that are 6, 7, 8, 9 on your team that are out there to have fun. Some of them don't play basketball year round, but they want to be a part of a good experience. I can't even imagine how awesome your practices are, because everybody gets better too, don't they?
I think this is the first year where all of us have played AAU.
Wow, that's pretty good. So you have an early test coming on Tuesday night against a team that I like a lot, and they're in our conference, is St. Ignatius. And they're a team that will find themselves in the rankings somewhere, and so will you guys.
Yeah.
They beat you last year on your home court, and you're going down there to play there on Tuesday. Any thoughts on that as you guys head into the season? Because getting off to a positive note sometimes is a good thing. Yeah,
I think last year was just an ugly game for us. And we watched film on it today, and it was just like, we're like, how did we even let that happen? And I remember my freshman year, it was like still a close game, and they've always given us like a really tough game. And I think we're very excited for Tuesday just because we've realized that like this summer, our workouts were so much more intense than usual. And like, we just put in so much more work than normal. And like, just it feels like we've done so much more. So I think that we're more excited and we feel like we're more ready. So I guess we'll see what happens Tuesday.
Yeah, that'd be a great test.
Yeah.
Now, what about you personally? I think you're poised for a huge year and a breakout year. You came in with some pretty good expectations in high school. You followed in your sister's footsteps who have won state titles. But you personally, what have you worked on to expand your game? Where do you feel like it's at currently? Yeah, you're a Wisconsin commit. That's great. Sometimes kids settle.
Yeah.
Are you settled? Are you just relaxed?
No, this summer for AAU, I was more of like a wing player, which I think I will be more in college because I like playing on the outside more. But for my high school team, I'm one of the taller girls, and in high school, it's kind of just like if you're tall, you're going to be on the post.
Yep.
So I've been working on a lot of post moves, and like with Ashley Conkle and Lauren Stack, like in the post, that helps a lot because it's like better competition. I'm not like just going against like a random like tall girl in high school. Like we like our posts. When we split up post guard during practice, it's so intense. It's actually like really fun because we're like beating each other up on the block.
So you're going to be down low a lot more this year.
Yeah, our new offense is a little different where like the 5 pops up a lot because he knows that we're more of like a 5-out team with we have one solid 5, Ashley Conkle.
Yeah, going to Western Michigan.
Yep. So I think it'll be interesting this year because we're a very fast team. And so I think a lot of 5-out actions we're really good with Clara getting the ball and us just running. And
well, I think you're a very physical post that can. I think I use you as an example in our practice all the time about how well you cut off the ball with like physicality and speed. And I think that you'd be a mismatch for any post because you can shoot the 3. So you got anything else you want to add?
Man, what's the biggest difference? What do you guys have to do to take that next step from being a sectional caliber team to a state team? I mean, you had a great run, but when you played kind of the Maine Wests last year, they kind of burned you a little bit. So what do you think is the biggest difference where you can take that next step this year?
We like have talked about that a little bit this year. Like we're like a lot of people are like saying like, oh, Bennett's going to be so good, but we know we're going to have our ups and downs in the seasons. We know everything's not just going to be like, oh, we won. Like everything's going to be great. We know there's going to be stuff that's like going to knock us down. So we've been like working on team goals a lot this year and about how everything should be positive and no one should like feel down or anything about like if we lost a game, it's no one's fault. Like we all need to get through it as a team. And I think if we have like good attitude, positive team energy, and just not let the downs get the best of us, I think we could be really good.
Sounds advice for you too.
Yeah,
Nichols. Stay positive.
I think you guys, it might be a little difficult. But I think you guys are well poised that you guys can make a run. I mean, if the sectional works out the same way, you could see the same St. Ignatius, Simeon, Kenwood, Montini, Bennett, and Young all in one section. I mean, it's unfortunate if it works out that way because you have teams that, to be honest, should be down at Redbird Arena. But you guys are well coached. You're deep. You're talented. And I would not be shocked to see you guys back competing for a state championship this year. So I'm glad you joined us.
Thank you.
Good luck. And we'll see you out there at some games.
Okay.
All right, Brooke. Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to get into our
we're going to settle. We're going to
preseason rankings and get going on what we're doing now. So
the right preseason rankings. I don't know if any of you have seen some other stuff floating around.
I've seen a few things. I've been texted some things from different outlets, and really the outlets are, I mean, I saw a tweet from Corey Irvin.
Yeah.
That the Sun-Times might actually be doing a little bit more. And
I looked it up and I didn't see anything. Though. Yeah. I looked on their website, which would be great. I'm not, may sound petty, like, this is, they copied off of me, but but yeah, that'd be good.
That is the point of us doing this, is to bring more coverage to these girls. As you guys see, I put on my hashtags, Illinois girls deserve coverage. I just think the coverage stinks. The Daily Herald does a wonderful job. They have great people, but that's a limited area. So,
and let's be honest, the girls' side of basketball in Illinois probably produced more talent than the boys in the past 5 years.
Well, I don't follow the boys as much. I used to all the time, but I am kind of locked into the girls' side of it. But I will tell you this. The rankings, I have a new respect for people ranking people and their opinions should be just taken as that, an opinion. Because, you know, I literally had my rankings done this morning when I got here, and then I switched it as I was watching the Bears game today, and then I switched it after our practice because, you know, I keep getting more information. Because I'll tell you what, some of the better programs and the better coaches are sending me information on it, and I really appreciate it because ultimately it's about pubbing your kids. But I'll tell you right now, after the first 2, maybe 3, like 15 are all interchangeable on any given night.
Let's be honest, even after 1-2.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I would
and we'll
say.
get to that later where we're at because we're going to work our way back. But you're right. I agree. And it's kind of like I got my Kentucky shirt on, but they were the number 2 ranked team in the NCAA, and they got pounded by the 4 team.
Yeah.
So a lot of this stuff will play itself out. It's preseason. It's a hypothetical. It's a guess. And let's talk about I'm going to talk about how I based my rankings.
I'm going to talk a little bit of mine.
Okay.
Before we get into that, the stream's kind of jumping on our end. So if you just want to leave a comment to make sure it's all good and it sounds okay. So there's 37 of you. Someone leave a comment. It was just jumping around a little bit. I want to make sure it looks okay and sounds good. Anyone? All right. Or not.
I would think my phone would blow up on text and say it's not very good.
Yeah. All right. We'll just roll with it.
So I want to talk about rankings and how, like, you had a different philosophy on how you did it.
I had a couple different.
Yeah.
I was working with preseason's a little different than the rest of the year. So when you're doing rankings in the middle of the year, it's generally what have you done for me lately? Who have you beaten and who are your bad losses? Those are the big things when I look for regular season rankings. Okay. Who are your good wins and who did you lose who you weren't supposed to?
Okay.
Preseason is a little different. Mm-hmm. Yes, you have to base on who's returning because you don't know what talented as freshmen may be. You don't know what they're going to produce. They're freshmen.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah, you don't know. But and 2, I mean, we have the knowns. We have the Brooks Ceramics. We have the Annie Strichtels, what we know.
Yeah.
And you have to base it off that. But at that same time, when I look at preseason rankings, I also try to look forward a little bit. Which of these teams are going to be here late in March, early April? Which of these teams are going to have the talent to make that state run? So I did a little bit of a combination of both of who not only who's good right now, but who will be there come mid-March, late March at Illinois State.
And what I did a little bit different was I look at teams that return a lot and have some experience. I do project out, but like I mentioned, that sectional that Bennett's in,
brutal.
I got 5 of those teams are in my top 10. So they're deserving of that in the preseason rankings. They'll probably be deserving of that during the year. But unfortunately, those teams, only one of them could possibly get downstate because and maybe none of them because they feed into another super sectional. So
I'm not too
for my rankings, this is tough. It's preseason. It's going to play itself out. There's so many really good games early in the season. So.
And this is the most wide open I think I've ever seen. You know, this is the most wide open we've seen it in years. Everybody know who's good last year.
Yep.
And we know who's good this year, but they're not unbeatable.
I agree.
So with that being said, I think it's just best to jump what you guys have all been waiting for, really.
Start backwards, 20 to 15.
Yeah, just jump right into it and start with number 20.
All right, I got number 20, and it's, to be honest, I switched 20 earlier in the day. I got Grays Lake Central, and the reason I have them is of Kate Bowman. I think Kate Bowman's fantastic. She's a big guard, a junior. They have a point guard back, Maura Fitzgerald. They have a really good coach. He used to be Steve's a great guy too. He coached under Frank Matucci at Stevenson, and when he's had players, he's done a good job. They have 2 sisters, the Drevlins, sophomore and a senior, Mary Kate and Mary Rose, and they beat Fremd in the regional championship last year. And that to me has value and weight.
Yeah, that's definitely a pretty big win. Admittedly, we'll probably find out later why.
Yep.
I went with Naperville North at number 20. We look at last year. I mean, Greta Kampschroeder. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I hope that's right. One of the best sophomores in the state, if not the best sophomore in the state of Illinois.
She's my number 1 ranked kid in my rankings. And nationally, I don't think that you would find that to be different. So.
When you get to this 18 to 28 range, I look for people who can win you games by herself, and that's what Greta can do. I mean, Naperville North took, granted you were without Sam, but Naperville North took you to the brink in a shootout last year.
Yeah, over at Willowbrook, we were up 20 and we didn't score for the last 12 minutes of the game. We thought we could get out of there early and beat the weather. So, but yeah, they did. Then they returned a few of those girls.
And they did.
Kara Rivard's back.
Yep. I think they're going to be pretty talented. Now, that conference, that area, that Southwest is a little bit down this year compared to what's down.
Naperville North, yeah, they're Lincoln Way East is out in the Sicka. Naperville North with like
Naperville Central's down too, though. Yeah. So it is going to be a little down. So their schedule leaves a little to be desired. But I'm sure I think they can win a few games this year, and obviously they're 20. But I think they can surprise a few teams.
All right, 19. Go ahead.
19, I'm going with Maine South. I know they lost Albano for the year. She's most likely done for the year because she tore her ACL.
Another ACL kid.
It's been bad. Injuries have been really, really bad this summer, last spring. But I like who they bring back besides Albano. I'm blanking on her name, but she had a really good game against Loyola last year in sectionals.
New coach, you said?
Yeah, new coach, a little different style. They can really shoot the ball, man. They can. It's one of those teams who can beat you, shoot themselves out of the game or in the game. And minus Albano, I still think they're going to be okay. And they beat Proviso East, who was top 10 all last year.
Yeah, they upset them in that, right.
And they bring back most of that team. So I like them. Albano injury aside, I do like where they're at.
I got Lake Zurich, 19. Big loss in their post player that went to St. Xavier, but they returned 5 of their top 7 players from last year. They made a super sectional run. Could they be higher? Sure. But I think they lost a couple key kids. And that was some of my rankings was based on losing some kids. So I like Lake Zurich. Chris Bennett does a great job. He's a really good coach. The games that you play in with Lake Zurich, if you don't speed them up, it's 25-23. It's 27-25. It's boring. It's ugly, but it works for him. He may get mad at me for saying that, but you know what? He wins. So
not as bad as Wheaton-Winville South last year. That was bad.
Rob does a good job of that too, though. But you have to find ways to win. What's best for your kids. So the other team that does that is Lombard South. So yeah, Steve Gross, the former Hinsdale Central coach. So, but I got Lake Zurich at 19.
And going into number 18. I have Lake Forest, regional champions last year. They returned their 4 leading scorers, obviously led by Holly, as we just found out.
Yeah.
Pronounced Holly Douglas.
Not Haley, it's Holly.
Holly Douglas, as we found out pretty recently. But as I said, that was a very, very, very young team. And I think they were a 2 seed in their sectional before losing to Lake Zurich. Actually,
we play them on the 1st at December 1st at the Frem Shootout, which is another loaded event. So,
but yeah, Holly Douglas, Big Ten recruit, solid 6'1" point guard, can defend. I mean, that's what you want in a point guard, a big point guard.
I got Glenbard West, and they're kind of a sleeper team. I saw them. They were in my summer league. They were in our fall league, and I love them. And I love them because of their point guard, Caitlin Heller. I think that kid is really, really good. I've mentioned that some D2 schools they got a steal in this kid if they get her. They have some bigs in Taylor Huff and Jemiah Thomas. They have 3 bigs, and they have a good shooter, sophomore kid, Maggie. I believe her name is Stuttenberg. And if I said that wrong, I apologize. And they're well coached. Do you know who their assistant coach is?
No.
Frank Kaminsky's dad.
Oh, God.
Yes, Frank Kaminsky, another Wisconsin guy. And that's their assistant, their head coach. I love her formerly. And I talk to Christy a lot. She does the IHSA broadcast, and we text. And Christy does an unbelievable job. Christy Faulkner, she played at Glenbard West, but that's her maiden name. And I think they're going to surprise people in the West Suburban Silver. They're going to get a run from Downers North, who is well coached. They have a game tomorrow night against Rolling Meadows, who is a team that I have on the outside looking in.
Same.
But they lost Bridget Rolla, who's a tough, and it's hard for me to put her in because they have a freshman point guard that could do a really good job for them. And they got Ella Gilbert's and another freshman. So, and Ryan does a good job. So maybe eventually.
Yeah, I'm not big on the whole honorable mentions. I think you're in or you're out. Yeah. But I will say Rolling Meadows probably would have been in that 20 spot had that injury not occurred. I like them, and of course they beat Glenbard West in the regional last year.
Oh, I would have
that team.
I would have had him higher than that. I think the roll of loss will hurt him, but Ryan's good enough to that.
Yeah,
eventually
they'll be fine.
Yeah. All right, I got 17 Lake Forest. I'll keep it real quick because you already hit on them. The 4 returning starters with size 6'2", 6'1", 6'1", 5'10", 5'10", 2 seniors, a junior, and 2 sophomores. They got great length. They're not deep. They're one of those teams, as we were talking about. We hit it earlier. They can't simulate what Bennett can in practice, so they got to get it in game situations. So that's a team at the end of the year. If they're clicking and those kids get better with that size, watch out. Who do you have?
I have Lake Zurich up at 17. So we talked about Lake Zurich. They're deep 1 through 5. What I like about Lake Zurich is that all 5 positions can score the basketball. And that's what I really liked about that team. I try not to put too much stock into summer ball, but they look good when I saw them. And they came within 10 of Maine West in the super sectionals last year. Zobel, I think, was their name. They lost.
And they got buried at the end of the year, and they got buried by like 30 to Maine.
Oh
West.
yeah,
and then you knew that would not happen again.
Right.
So, I mean, there's no way that you can duplicate that twice. So 16.
I think this is the first time we're the same. I have Marshall.
Same.
I got the west side of Chicago.
Hit on them. They returned 4 out of 5 starters, but you know a lot about them. Class 2A.
Not a lot. They're far and away the favorites in 2A.
Oh, it's not even close.
2A's bad. Like 2A's pretty.
I hope they already have their reservations at Bloomington Normal because the reality is there's nobody on their way down.
I can't
that can stop them. The only thing that stops them from getting there is if the bus breaks down. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's a fact.
They have the best coach in the state. Yeah. One of the best coaches.
Well, the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, right.
So,
Brandy Hudson, I think her name is, can score at will.
Yeah, she's very good. She's a top returning scorer, averaged 16 a game last year.
They're good. The thing I like about Marshall this year versus last year is they really upped their schedule. So last year they're kind of a relative unknown because they flew under the radar. They didn't break my top 20 until late January, early February. If that.
She's always played good teams.
Yeah,
but she goes out of state. She kind of you don't see them a lot.
Right.
So I mean, but they win. And Harlan was the team they played in the state championship game, and that thing's completely done because Eddie Niles is gone.
And half their team transferred.
They're all gone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who competes with them? Breeze Central made it downstate last year in Class 3A. They're down in 2A. So, we'll see. But Marshall's definitely, I agree.
So they can definitely move up because they play some teams this year. They play some teams that should be pretty good.
So, my 15, I believe, is different than your 15. And I'm going with a team that I think a lot of people know about. And kind of want some, and I take some heat from the father and some of the players is Lincoln Way West for me. I got them 15. They got Taylor and Tara Gugliazza, the
Splash Sisters, as I found out their nickname was.
Yeah, I mean those kids. I mean they can flat out shoot it.
Yeah, sure can.
And they shoot it at a high percentage. They're young. They'll start 3 juniors, a sophomore, and a senior.
Yeah, they're young last year.
Yeah, I mean they got Molly Ryan, they got Sydney Swamberg. But they have a freshman kid too. This Eva Pittman kid. I'm curious to see a 6'2" kid. They're upping their schedule a little bit. I've debated that with a couple of the Lincoln Way West supporters. But they got Grays Lake Central, who I have ranked. They are playing Trinity. They're playing Evanston late in the year, so they're going to have the record, and we're going to talk about that when we get closer to the top 10. But it comes down to who you played, who you beat. What kind of losses you have, what kind of wins you have. You gotta be able to balance it all.
I agree.
So there could be a team with 4 losses, but they lose to 4 nationally ranked teams. That doesn't mean to me that they move down in a ranking. So, but Lincoln Way West, I'm intrigued by. I can't wait to watch them. Who do you have?
I have St. Ignatius. Iggy. I know you're big
on Iggy. All over.
I know.
Yeah.
I agree with your about the schedule about Lincoln Way West, and I'll get into that later. Here is my big issue with Ignatius. Molly Gannon is good. Lauren McDonald's good. The problem was, even as good as Molly is, they're a very inconsistent team. They can beat Loyola like they did last year one day and get blown out of the gym less than a week later. If they're, as I said, they're a solidly top 20 team, but if they want to make that jump for me personally to that top 10 area, They need to find that consistency.
We'll see what happens Tuesday. They go to bed. They got Bennett at home.
Yeah, that would be an interesting.
But they play other teams too. They play Kenwood. They play teams.
Yeah, they do. They do play teams, and I'm not taking that away from them. As I said, I need to see the consistency first before I put them higher.
That's fine. I mean, that's fair. I mean, that's why it's called preseason.
Right.
So, 14. Who do you have?
Simeon. I have Simeon 14, so the second city school in the rankings. Simeon, they were going to be a top 10 team until tomorrow tore another ACL injury.
Yep.
When you lose a player of her caliber, they're athletic, they're long, they're super, super talented. But when you lose a point guard the caliber of Morrow, who's big too,
6 foot point,
big point guard, it's tough. It's not going to be easy for them.
I got them ranked higher, and I'll discuss why I believe that later. I have at 14 Mother McCauley, and I'll be honest with you, they lost a good senior last year, and I can't believe I went
Tara
O'Malley. And I would not have had them that high, but watching them in the fall, and they were here in the summer, Jenna Badaldi, that kid's been awesome.
Yeah,
and she's been fantastic. Her game has improved so much. You still have Grace Hines, who's still one of the most. I would take that kid in a heartbeat. That kid is just fun.
Absolutely.
I mean, she just unassuming looking and just she goes and gets every rebound.
She can't be more than 5'8". I don't know what they list her at, but
she plays at 6 foot. And they got Lauren Ramsey. They're well coached. Ashley Clanton does a great job. Formerly, Ashley Luke out of Wabansie Valley played for Doug. They're going to be. After watching them, they beat some really good teams here in the fall. And I know it's the fall. It doesn't mean as much. But there's still some value there to me, and I got Mother McCauley 14.
And McCauley is going to get out to the gates rolling because they know that system inside and out, and they're going to start hot.
Yep.
And obviously, I haven't had them yet, but we'll see where I put them.
13, I got Loyola, and I know that you will not agree with it. There's a couple that we have.
Yeah,
I've talked to Jeremy about it too, and here's the deal: Julia Martinez is awesome.
Yeah,
I've said it in our earlier podcast. You can't press that kid. So if you decide to press them, you will eventually get out of it because they'll make you pay. They're well coached, but they lost 3 starters, and I mean that was how I based it on. Now they can climb a ranking in a hurry, and they're going to have a chance to do that. They play Marist early in December. They're playing New Trier. They should win their tournament and beat New Trier, but that's a local rivalry game. And then they got the Sather kid that's going to Richmond. But their other kids are young, athletic kids, and I go back to this. They need a little bit of time to get better. And you can't just say Loyola, to me personally, you can't just throw them in the top 10 or the top 5 or the top 6. That's just my opinion yet. But they might be there at the end.
13, I had Naz. Nazareth, they runner up in Class 3 last year. They bring back Annie Stritzel, who is probably one of the leading scorers in the state. I don't think she was number 1, but she was up there.
Well, she'll put up numbers that could be consideration for Miss Basketball, let's be honest.
And she looks more athletic than she does. She looks quicker. I know that was a big kind of knock against her. She wasn't super quick or super athletic. She knows how to score. She finds a way to score, but she looked quicker. She looked really good in the defensive end. But they're not getting their number 4 preseason ranking that they were last year because, they lose Alyssa Geary, who was – I was looking at some stats last night, and I'll go into that another team coming up. But I was looking at some stats from the Whitney versus Naz game last year, and Alyssa threw up a triple-double with blocks, which I think she had like 18 points, 12 rebounds, and 11 blocks.
And she set the state record.
Yeah, she beat Candace
Parker in the semis, I believe.
That's a huge loss.
It is, and that's kind of how I look at a lot of stuff is, all right, who did you lose? Who do you have back? So at 12, I have us. And the reason I have us is we lost Patty, Jarozinski, and Pitts, 3 Division I players. That's a lot. We have Sam Mitchell back, who's going to UAB. We have Frankie Kokanis. We have Zoe Zacher, who will start tomorrow night, but she's played 20 games in her career. We have Sydney Prochaska, who came off the bench last year. We have a sophomore that's in our Tara Thornton that's young. And we have a bunch of freshmen that are going to play. And we have Elena Anderson, a junior, who hasn't have a lot of game experience. So for me, it's kind of like Loyola. It's kind of like Lincoln Way West. It's like, all right, you can move up the ladder, but you got to go prove it. You got to prove it and play against the teams that are good. And we'll do that. We see Naz next Friday assuming that we win our first 3 games in the pool, and they do at the Thanksgiving tournament at Harvest Christian. We'll see them on Friday at 8:30, and we'll see where we're at because that's a heck of a program with a good coach.
And that's where our rankings kind of differ.
Yeah.
Is because I look a little more forward in preseason rankings. You're looking at, and that's completely fair, but just to count for the difference.
Well, the preseason rankings to me, and that's okay. I mean, everybody has a different opinion.
Yeah.
My thing is, it's now. Who are you now?
That's true.
And then as you escalate through the season, well, that defines who you are at the midway point. Okay, are you 8th or are you back down? You're 15th because you can't beat some of these teams. So that's why I challenge. I have a hard time with teams that don't play good schedules. It just drives me nuts. Go find the best competition. If you're good, go find them. Don't tell me you're good because this. Go play them.
I agree. That was Harlan last year.
Who do you have at 12?
Harlan people were telling me last year. Why aren't we in the top 20? Play someone.
Yep, I agree. I agree with you too. Who do you have at 12?
12, I have Bolingbrook. I know you were high on them earlier in the week. I think it's changed a little bit.
Yeah, I talked to Chris Smith, and yes.
So
then I'm going to, real quick, I have them 11.
Okay.
So that'll be my next one, so we can talk about that, and then you can lead into 11. So
Bolingbrook. I know they're super athletic. The Treasure Thompson
transfer from
Lockport is huge.
She has major offers.
That will help fill the void tremendously. But I was there, and I went to their game against Bennett, and I couldn't remember this game very well. I know Bennett beat them, but I remember looking at this game, and I was looking back at the stats. 2 people graduated, Gabby and Jahari Smith. Yeah, they combined for 30 points and 24 rebounds. It was insane.
Yep.
And this is where I kind of go, okay, they're going to be good in the future. That's why they're still top 15. But right now, that's a lot of production to fill in, especially right early in the season.
I got them at 11, and I mean, Treasure Thompson, the transfer from Lockport, is getting a lot of offers. And, I mean, it speaks for itself, but I don't know much about her. I haven't seen a ton of her because she played at Lockport. But I mean, I've heard about her. She's a lefty. I've talked to college coaches about her, and they love the upside and the potential. They have Danielle Middleton. They have Jaden Maribel. They have DeHanna Richardson. They got the Ariel McElroy. So they have some really good depth, and they're big and they're physical. They came here in the summer to play our kids. And I know we didn't play Sam Mitchell and some kids that day. We couldn't even score the ball. I mean, and I wasn't here, actually. I took that day off. But after talking to Chris Smith a little bit, I mean, they lose Jahari Smith, and they lost Gabby Smith, and they lost Taylor Robinson. I go back to what I thought about. Yeah. You lost 3 kids, just like we did. So I had them at number 11. Who'd you have?
I have Lincoln Way West. I touched on it earlier. You're right. Schedule, even now, it's better than last year.
No question.
Still not great.
Right.
Still not a great schedule. Please, if any coaches from Lincoln Way West, players, Taylor, if you're listening, let someone play some people next year. Please.
I think they are. I tried to call the coach and schedule a game with them recently because I thought they had an opening, and I'm not sure if they did. But they're going to State Farm next year, which is a nice tournament. I think that coach will do it. They took Marion Catholic. They lost by 2 in the regional finals. So I would think out south, if they're separated again, I mean, they might be able to see a Marist like in the sectional final. And
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, because Lincoln Way East is down a little bit. I mean, Marion Catholic's down with the transfer. All those kids leaving, which is unfortunate because Dan Murray's a good coach. I'm intrigued by them, but I want to see them play the big boys. I really do. So.
And I was going to blank on what I said. As I said, it's better. It could be. And then it just helps you in the playoffs. I don't care how many games you lose. You can be a 500 team, win all your games in conference, lose, but that's only going to make you better.
Look at Lake Zurich. Yeah, they made a run to the sectional or super sectional last year. They came to our tournament, and I think they were. And I'm sorry if I said this wrong, but I think they were 1-3, maybe 2-2 at best. And that helps you get better because then when you're in a tough spot in the sectional, it's like, hey, we were down to Kenwood by 8 at half.
Sure were.
Okay, we playing Bennett, and then we're playing Bolingbrook to get downstate, and we're down to 8 at half. And you looked at the kids, you're like, we've been here all year. We've been here numerous times. Come out, make a run, get back in the game, and do what you're capable of doing. And that's exactly what happened. Number 10.
10, I have Macaulay. This is the one I kind of looked like. Who are they?
I didn't know you actually had him there.
Really?
I don't know why I didn't see that. So wow, good.
Yeah, no, I'm Macaulay 10. They're going to come out the gates firing just because they run that system so well. We talked about, and Death Texas Macaulay. That's what I have it in my little write up. I mean, you know what they are. You know they're going to be good. you don't know how they're good, but they are solid. They don't make mistakes. They make you make mistakes.
Yep. I got Naz, and Geary loss is big, but I go back to 10 as Naz and Bolingbrook and Montini and Loyola Macaulay, even my 9 and my 8, they all could be. I had everybody changed before that. I just Annie Stritzel is going to put up monster numbers. What's going to be really key for this team, and I'll see it Friday, is how does Giovanna Martinucci, Sophie Collada, Layla Rodriguez, 3 returning kids that really, to be honest, Sophie and Layla can shoot it. Giovanna, if she stays out of foul trouble, will really help them defensively because she's tough, she's quick.
She is aggressive, man. She is fiery.
Here's they got a freshman, Caroline Workman, who's really, really good player too, but she's a freshman. So it'll take her some time. Kaylin Evans from Marian Catholic is really, really going to help them. So
Lil Metzler's pretty good.
Francesca Metz is a good player. Marissa's a younger sister, but they don't have the basket protector. But I don't think they care. They're still going to play the same way. They play in matchup zone. They switch screens, whatever. It's like it's hard to figure out. They'll press you. They won't press you. He will do whatever he has to do to win games. They have a good coaching staff. And I would see no reason why they're not downstate again. I mean, they're another team that them and Marshall could actually – they're separate weekends, but they both could book hotels if you ask me. So, some may say that's really rude and all that, but that's a fact. I mean, nobody's going to touch those teams.
It's bad. I know they just adjusted the class system where it's just 25, 25, 25. And I think that'll help. Yeah, that'll help. But well, I think you'll see. Naz move up a class next year with the.
Well, if they get downstate, the success factor automatic. Yeah. So, who do you got at 9? We're going inside our top 10.
Yeah, we are at 10. 9, I have Kenwood.
Yep.
I have Brianna McDaniel.
She's really good. We've talked about a lot of freshmen, how it takes time. It will not take her time. She'll run the point. She'll be – but they have a lot of good kids. And I have them ranked a little bit higher than you.
Right. And you're absolutely right. And that will help take the pressure off of her. Tamara Nard, really, really good post. Draw some defense off of her. Shania Jackson,
Chicago State,
really good point guard, handles the ball well.
Yep.
Now, the loss of Janae Johnson hurts. She was miss everything for them. She could score, she could rebound, she could pass the ball really well.
But they got a key transfer.
Yeah,
Kamira Burks, Harlan led that team downstate, and she's a UIC commit to go play with Tasha Pointer. And I'm telling you that, like with her and then the Raven Rogers kid who's 2020, they play a legit schedule.
Yeah,
they play Simeon on the 30th of November. They got Ignatius. They got Warren Central, the Indiana State champs, on the 15th. They play Fremd at their place. I can't wait to see that game. That will be later in January. So he's playing good teams. I got him ranked a little bit later. I'll talk a little bit more about him, but it'll be brief. And he's got the talent.
It's good they're playing good teams because it's not the Catholic League they play. Their conference besides Simeon, not great.
Yep.
I actually talked to him about this recently. This is a topic for another day, but I think the city should make it super conference for girls. I think it would help them out tremendously. A topic for a different day, but yeah, Kenwood's good.
I got Ignatius, and I know they're way higher than what you have, but they returned 4 starters. They got Gannon, McDonald. They don't have names that jump out at you.
No,
but guess what? They play well together. They play. I got Kenwood ranked high. You got them ranked high, and they play them tough every single time. They're going to be in most ball games. They beat Bennett last year. There's a lot to be said for teams that return players. And I'm now experiencing that in my own practice is that those guys, they're used to it. They're further ahead than other teams because everything's familiar.
Right.
And when you bring in new kids and you lose kids, it takes some time to kind of tweak and mold your team. And I think that I'm so curious to see what happens Tuesday night against Bennett. But I got them ranked 9th. And they can move up or they can go straight backwards like a lot of these teams can do. So we'll see which way they decide to move. 8.
You guys, Montini. And this is part of the looking forward for my thing. I know you've texted me some things about practice recently. It's been a rough first week, but that's fun. Growing pains. It is growing pains. Yeah. I think Sam's a tremendous piece to have in terms of teaching young talent. I think having Zoe around too a lot more is going to help Sam out to where she's not taking on the entire leadership. But you're the best freshman class in the state. I mean, say what you want. I mean, top to bottom, you're going to have 4 players on your varsity who are freshmen? 3 or 4?
Well, we're going to have 7 or 8, but 4 of them should see some time. The other ones, depending on their growth, will get in there. But you don't win with freshmen. You win with seniors. You win with juniors. You win with experience. So that could be hopefully down at the end of the year. We could pull a surprise like a Lake Zurich.
I do think that's changing though. I think just the game in general. Look at Duke.
Well, that's a guy's side. I mean, that's
boys and girls. I think girls high school is the same way. Girls develop way sooner, which is why you see more girl freshmen playing varsity than boys.
I agree.
Derek Rose didn't play varsity as a freshman, and he's okay.
I agree that girls are more mature as freshmen than boys are. That's why boys don't play varsity football as freshmen. But I agree. They can play. They can compete, but they're not going to beat the teams that are older, that are more physical and stronger. Yeah, they're mature for freshmen, but they're not as mature as a Brooke Ceramic who literally could breathe on you and throw you into a wall. So, that's just a fact. And Bennett has a bunch of those. Young has those kids. Why did Young struggle last year? Why did Bennett struggle? Because they were younger and they needed this time, and now is their time. And there's a lot of examples of that. So I have Simeon. I know that Anisha Morrow tore her ACL, but they're still good. A name that people are going to recognize, she is Jada Thorpe. She took her team downstate at North Wandale when Corey Morgan was the coach when they were freshmen. She left and went to Florida. She's going to Kansas State. She's legit, can play. They have, and I may say her name wrong, but I believe it's Kamaya Gardner, a 6'2" post. That kid was good. They return a lot of kids. They played Kenwood tough. They actually beat Kenwood in the city championship last year.
And
then they got upset by Young in the regional finals, which if you call that an upset,
right?
It was 3 against 6, 3 seed against 6. So I have them 8. Maybe it's a little bit too high, but once again, you could take about 9 of these teams, flip a coin, and just say, okay, or pull a name out of a hat, and it is what it is.
That's actually ahead of my name rankings this year.
What's that?
That's actually ahead of my rankings.
I wouldn't, but I should have done that. I would have been done with it a lot earlier. The thing about Simeon is they got Bolingbrook early.
Bolingbrook, talk about an up and down game. Oh my God.
Bolingbrook might be missing a couple kids because of injuries or something. Chris said he goes, we got a couple kids banged up. But Simeon plays them, and they got HF on Tuesday, I believe. And HF's a team that
sneaky.
They are. They got a couple good. Tony Smith knows what he's doing. So we'll see how that plays out. Who do you have at 7?
7, I have Maine West. People think I'm a big Maine West homer.
Well, you just proved them wrong.
I
think you got them too high, but that's your opinion. It's okay.
The number 3 team in Class 4A, clearly a top 3 team last year. It was like no one's going to argue that.
No, I agree.
Here's my big thing. They lost 3 starters. This is mine. And granted, you returned their 2 best players from arguably their 2 best players. Angela Dugalic, who's has the best inside-out game in the state personally, and Rachel Kemp, who's probably one of the best 2-way players in the state.
Yep.
Losing Fallon hurts. Losing Allison Pearson hurts. Losing Katherine Johnson hurts. Now, they weren't very deep last year, so they don't exactly have a lot of role players looking to take up minutes. Those 5, along with Jessica Riedel, who also graduated, those 6, those were the 6 they played every year. Now, they do Dylan Van Fleet, really quick point guard who can get to the rim. And
they have a couple shooters too. Yeah, a couple wing players that just play the role and they can flat out shoot.
And that'll help open things up for Dugalic and Kent, because Dugalic probably does her best work on the inside, even though she can shoot a 3. And Kent has a really, really good mid-range game.
Yep.
And defensively, they're going to be tremendous, which is why they're a top 10 team. Like 7 in this area, that's still damn good.
Yeah.
They're just not going to be as good as last year.
I have them ranked higher than you, and I'll talk to them about it in a minute. And it actually contradicts what I said earlier about trying to rank a team that lost so many players. But I have a reason for it, and I'll get back to it in a minute. My 7 team is Fremd, and I had Fremd anywhere from 4 to 7 over the last week and a half, and I finally settled on 7. And I did because they're young. They do have two juniors in Olivia Hill and Emily Klazak. They're both good players. They got Ruthie Mentala, 2021 6-foot kid that's now getting offers. She's a sophomore. They have Grace Labarge, another big 2021, and then they have a stud kid who's got offers from Illinois and some of the bigger schools, Brianna Woolridge. She's a 6'2" kid who is A lot of people will know this player. She reminds me of Ashley Wilson, who played at Wheeling back in the day. I believe she went to Purdue. I had a chance to coach her one summer when I was with the Midwest Elite, which was full package back then. And that kid was a beast. And this kid is as good and probably might be better. I think her upside's incredible because she's 6'2" and Ashley was 5'11". I like Friend. They got size like Lake Forest. They're more talented. Yeah, they're more talented. I mean, they might be a little bit deeper. I talked to Dave. Dave said they're just getting after it in practice, but he doesn't run from anybody. He's going to play a great schedule. Their length will give you problems in MSR. Sometimes you got to take coaching into consideration here. That team's going to be very good.
Yeah, Friends, I agree. Friends going to be very good. And obviously I haven't mentioned them yet, which says a lot what I think about them. And that's a team who wasn't ranked at all, not once last year, who was breaking the top 10. So you can just see how nutty this year is.
Our opinion, it's preseason. Right. Who do you have at 6?
6, I have Marist.
We agree.
Marist Redhawks at 6. Sydney, I'm going to pronounce her last name wrong. We just went over this too.
Yep, Sydney Alfator.
Again, one of the best sophomores in the state, along with Greta.
Just got an offer from DePaul.
Yeah.
She might have a couple more. Yeah, she's a good player. She's a really nice player.
And again, she's really, really good. She's one of those players who can score 20 on you, and you don't realize that she scored 20. Just very in control of her game.
Yeah.
Plays a lot older than she was. And they have some nice pieces around here. Senior Abby Callahan, who
that's your girl. You love her.
Been talking about for.
You like her game a lot.
I do like her game a lot. I think I kind of like the traditional back to the basket post that kind of gets lost nowadays.
It doesn't even exist.
No. So, but really good rebounder, pretty athletic, really good volleyball player. So that athleticism for volleyball comes in. And again, they have some young players as well.
Well, they got Jenna Ryan, a junior. They have a kid named McKenna Kalinas. I believe that's how you say it. And if I said it wrong, I apologize. Coming back from guess what? ACL. But they have 2 freshman guards. And Nyla Walker and Kiara Chivers. And I struggled because I got to see them play all summer. We beat them once and lost to them once. And then they beat Friend and they beat some good teams. But when you have 2 freshman guards running your team, that's tough. And they're smaller guards. Their bodies are not completely developed. And that's going to be the key. Like they can be anywhere from 4 to 20. I wouldn't go that low. I'd go maybe like 15 or 16. So, that's going to be interesting to see how that develops. But guess what? They play the schedule.
They always do.
That will prepare them. And I commend her for doing that. I think that Mary Pat knows what she's doing, and she doesn't run from it. And if she has 3, 4, 5, 6 losses, she don't care. She's still going to be in a sectional final.
And I think they did last year. They had quite a few losses last year, but still played Macaulay, I think, for sectional.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
If you lose games, if you're playing good teams and you learn what you can and can't do, and it prepares you for when it matters.
Right.
So I have them 6. 5. This is where you and I were off a little bit.
A little bit.
Let me go first on this.
Yeah.
Because you got your team. I got Kenwood.
Okay.
I just think that we talked about them earlier. They got 4 Division I players. They're playing a better schedule. I made a comment on a podcast, our audio podcast, about how they got to win a big game. And, Andre texted me. He goes, "We won a big game. We beat Evanston in overtime." And I said, "Well, that is a great win." And I like
last
Andre.
Year?
Yeah. So me and Andre, and Andre can talk like that and not like get at each other's throat. And I just think when they're going to have an opportunity to make a name for themselves in a sectional this year, and they have a really, really good team, and the potential to be there and be a team at the end is there. They got to put it together. But they got a really good player, and if Nard stays out of foul trouble,
she's good.
There's only a few people that can guard her. Whitney Young, Bennett, Friend are the only team. Maine West. That's it. There's nobody else that can guard her because she's good, but she's got to stay. I've seen her kind of like, I hope that she's grown a little bit and matured where she handles failure better, because sometimes when she gets 1 foul or 2, it becomes 4 or 5 like that. And if she does with Brianna McDaniels and the transfer Burks, watch out.
And she needs to finish a little better at there. She was better at last year.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more. Needs to shoot a little bit higher clip.
Okay, who you got?
I have Loyola. I know you disagree. I know you say they lost 3 starters, but if you're going to lose 3 starters, and no disrespect to any of the people who play, it's the ones you want to lose. Martinez, obviously, everybody knows Julie Martinez.
Fantastic.
We're not going to get into that. I think Celia Sater, she really impressed me over this summer. I think she's going to have a tremendous year for them. Summer Parker Hall, she looked really good for them. She plays at high post, which they love to work out of really, really well. Great passer on the high post.
Did you know she's a big crew girl?
Crew?
Yeah, she's on the crew team.
Did not know that.
That's a little tidbit for you right there.
I mean, she's strong. Doesn't surprise me at all.
Yep.
Now, people are going to have to step up. That is true. You're not wrong. I mean, Addie Morrill, one of the best defensive players in the state last year. And they have a couple of good underclassmen. Addison Ebling, I think she was a sophomore last year, now a junior, and Isabel Ogalor, who was a freshman. Now, she's been dealing with injuries all summer. I haven't seen her play once. She was really, really good.
I talked to Jeremy. He said she'll be back in like a week or 2.
Okay, but she hasn't played all summer. I know back issues are kind of weird like that, where you could be fine one day.
Yeah.
But she had some really nice games as a freshman. Undersized post, but look at what Grace Hines does. So I think they're a very similar mold and player.
And they're one of the best coach teams around.
Yeah.
So they're prepared for everything. As I said before, I don't like playing his teams because you better be on top of what you're doing because he's efficient and his and to be honest, they have Julia Martinez.
Yeah. If you want someone running your team, that's the girl.
She's great. All right, number 4. I got Evanston. Kayla Henning had a really, really, really good, off season, but she also hurt her knee. So she's coming back from that. She'll be back in December. She kind of makes that team go.
She really does.
But they're deep and they're young. They're going to be a team next year. You're talking about again with Bennett and Young. These teams are young. She's a junior. Gentle, Ambry Gentle, junior. Jayla Turchin is tough. I got to see her at the Blue Star Shootout at Trinity. Junior guard, I believe she plays with the Fire. I love her game. Tyler Main, junior. Cyan Holmes, senior, and then Lola Lesman, the freshman, who is really, really tough, the kid from France. They're good.
I'm going to quickly go through my 4 because Fremd was 4 for me. Yep. As I said, I love Fremd. Love the way try not to put in much stock over the summer.
Yeah.
But they were the team that definitely impressed me the most over the summer was Fremd. They're big. They're long. They remind me a lot of Maine West was last year, just not as good of a shooting team, which could come back to bite them. I know Yates says they're a pretty good shooting team. I haven't seen it yet, so I guess we'll see what happens. And then, Evanston's number 3 for me. So they were mad at me all last year for not having them ranked or not having them ranked high enough. There you go. You have your ring at go 3. Now go prove it. Can you win the big one?
Yeah, you're right.
Can you win the big game?
Well, they got a really big test against my number 3, Maine West, on next Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
The Schaumburg tournament is fantastic for Thanksgiving. You have Downers North, who I look as a team that's a team that's like others, like a team that could be really good. Maine West is playing Evanston at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. The dreaded 10 a.m. start.
What a dumb schedule. Think about it. They have pool play.
Yeah.
They did it right by putting them on the last day because they're the 2 best teams in the tournament. But you still have in that tournament Wheaton South, who's an up-and-coming team that could be good, Downers North, St. Charles East, and Schaumburg. But you put those teams together. Why not play them at 1? Let those guys wake up. Come on. That's your championship game.
I know.
So you put them at 10 a.m. That's crazy. But what a great test. I have Maine West, and it contradicts what I said earlier about
sure does.
It does. But I got to see them play, and here's the exception to that rule. You're talking about Rachel Kent and Angela Dugalik. Okay, they're physically very good defensive team. Angela can straight up take over a game. She's dynamic. She can play inside, outside, block shots, rim protects. They have good, solid players around them. So it's not like they have kids that have never played like at a public school that is just like, oh, come out and you play 3 sports. They have legit kids that can fill while the 2 stars, Rachel Kemp and Angela, go to work. I think those 2 have huge years, and they both could be first-team All-Staters. Yeah. At least first-team and second-team All-Staters, so I have them 3.
And they didn't get any All-State bids last year because they all scored 10 points.
Yeah. So the Saturday after Thanksgiving,
yeah.
Maine West, Evanston at Schaumburg High School at 10 a.m.
And as I said, I agree with you on Evanston. I have them at number 3.
Yep.
The biggest thing is, can they win? can they win the important game? 2 years ago when they were loaded, they lost to a very young Maine West team.
Yep.
Last year, obviously, they're a little down because they're young.
Yep.
Kayla, it's a big – she's good. Kayla Henning's really good, but she's a slashing guard. She wasn't really a shooter last year, and slashing guards coming off ACL injuries, a little iffy. Granted, I still have them at number 3. I still like what they do. I'm assuming she's going to be healthy. And as you said, Lola Lesman, game changer for them.
So we can get into our number 1 and number 2 team, and we're different, but we're the same.
Yeah, we're different the same. This is a coin flip.
I got Young 2 and Bennett 1.
I have Bennett 2 and Whitney number 1.
And I think you could do either or. I think those two to me, I've had some people text me that think that they can beat both those teams and think that they're capable of being beat. I think they're clearly the top 2 teams.
Yeah, they are clearly a step above 3 through 20, or 3 through 300, really. But they are beatable. I don't want to say they're – we talked to Brooke about Bennett. They have 6'7" D1 players on their roster.
Yep.
They're big. They are long.
Yeah.
They're well coached.
They played to the last possession last year. It was a 1-point game in the sectional semifinals. Was Bennett and Young.
Yeah, that's right.
And they basically all have their players back. Young added a transfer from Marion Catholic. Cam Williams is better. Ware, Jones, Green. And that would be a great game. And they both are going to play great teams. They're both going to be prepared when the playoffs come. I just think that right now I give Bennett the slightest edge on him. But Bennett, I mean – the thing is, if Conkle can come back healthy, that gives him a nice inside presence that may force Cam Williams out a little bit. Cam Williams she has a bunch of offers. There is a team, and it's Bennett, that could neutralize her a little bit with size. I don't know. We'll see about skill set. And then their guard play, though, is so good, Young, that they could give Bennett fits. But Bennett says they don't – when you play Young, you say slow him down. Bennett says, let's go. We'll run right with you.
Yeah.
So that fear factor's out. That's out. We'll run right with you.
Yeah.
Because that's their style, and that's what Joe Kilbride believes in. So either way, 1-2, you can't – I don't think you go wrong either one.
No. And as I said, my big difference between Whitney and Bennett is when the game's on the – Simba's gone.
Yeah.
When the game's on the line, when you're down 1 and you need to score, who are you going to? If you're Bennett – who's getting that ball?
Yeah.
And as good as a player Brooke is, she hasn't been super aggressive in years past. And obviously that can change this year. She's an upperclassman now.
Junior.
She's a junior. But who wants that ball in the games? Obviously it was Simba last year in the game against Whitney. She took the ball, and she was the reason they won. I think Whitney has that in Kayla Jones, to where you know who's getting that ball with 1 second left. You know she can score at will. It doesn't matter who's on her. She has that kind of ability, that late game ability. But then that's my big difference,
right?
And that's my big difference.
And here's mine. I think when you know who those kids are, sometimes it's easier to defend.
Yeah, go stop
with Bennett, that's fine. I'd take a chance if I know who one or the 2 best are. It's a lot easier. But with Bennett, who do you tag? Who do you really try to stop on that team? They have a lot of good kids. Now, then there's the argument that, like you just said. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I want to add a couple teams. I want to talk about some teams outside the area real quick as we see if we can finish up, or as we finish up. Teams outside the area: Morton, Peoria, Richwoods, Rock Island. Some of the downstate teams are going to be good. Kankakee made it to a super sectional last year. They got Amber in that store. She's a good player. Here's a team you could put in the rankings. They're a little bit out there. Is Rockford or Rockton Hononegah with Jordan King. Yeah, they're very good, but they're very good. They play at the Dundee Crown Tournament. Randy Weibel does a good job. Hampshire, Sycamore, Burlington Central, they got Catherine Schmidt and Elena Wells. So Sycamore's got Kylie Furbeck. You got Hampshire with Kelby Bannerman. So those are some teams on the outskirts that could make some noise. And then here's some other teams I want to talk about that we have a top 20. Who's some teams that if some of these kids – or excuse me, some of these teams falter that could jump in there? I think Bartlett's a team. The Bartlett faithful were in my ear about it last night. I told the person that sent me a Twitter, I said, go prove it. But they have Justina Hernandez, Alexis St. Clair, and Kenzie Hare. That's a pretty good start. They're young and a team they're going to talk about in the future. I have Rolling Meadows. Thornwood is interesting because of Nail Lear and the Marion Catholic transfer, but until they prove it, there's talent.
Yep.
Until they prove it, I don't know. Naperville North, I did not rank, but I'm right there with you. I think they could have easily been in there. Batavia is a team that has a bunch of kids that have been playing varsity for years. They got Ava Sergio, they got Getty Redko, they got Haley Orman. I would like to see how that plays out too. St. Charles North.
They're right there for me.
Well, they did. They had some good wins there. They got Carolyn Jakitis, Annie Tate, Emma Ludwig is a point guard, a freshman kid. There's another girl that the name escapes me right now. They could be in the mix as well. And then your Maine South, Downers North, Trinity, Proviso East. Somebody told me Phillips has a point guard named Robinson, a transfer from Harlan that's going to Stetson, 2 kids from Bogan, 1 kid from Kenwood. So they may be the all-transfer team that we just don't know about yet.
Yeah, that's tough to rely on. That's a lot of moving pieces.
You know what? But when people are offering information about teams, I'm going to go see them. So those are some teams I want to give a shout-out to. But we've been rolling here for about an hour.
Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions on the docket?
You know, I don't have any right now, and that's okay with me.
Let me just check my
9 o'clock
really quickly. See if anyone's yelled at me already. Anything? Bueller.
Good on my end.
No, we're good. All right.
We're
going to start wrapping this up now. Thank you all for joining in. I think we got up to over 60 live viewers at one point, so that's pretty sweet. Thank you for tuning in. Don't be mad at us if you're doing yourself. If you don't like what you see, rank them yourself.
But we'll be back with some rankings after the first couple of weeks and see where we're at.
And I'm putting mine up right on my website, ILPrepsInsider.com. So as I did last year, we're going to be out every Sunday evening. This is just a little kind of special treat, if you will. But I'm putting mine up right now. So if you missed anything, want to read up on anything, they won't be as long. I wrote a little paragraph for each. Not all the rankings are going to be like that, just because, I'm not going to do that every week. But as again, I'm Luke Trace from Illinois Preps Insider at IL Preps Insider on Twitter, here with Jason Nichols
and JNBA Hoops 2018. The next plan is maybe to be back around December 2nd, another Sunday.
Post Thanksgiving, pre-Christmas.
Post Thanksgiving, you have the GCAC East Suburban Catholic games on the 2nd of December. You got the you got the Friend Shootout on December 1st. So I think when that comes around, you also have a bunch of Christmas tournaments we can start talking about. I know our seeds of our tournament come out then, and maybe some things start to play out a little bit. So we'll see how it is. I think it'll be a great year. I think there's a lot of teams that, you can talk about how good you are. You got to go play. So, and guess what? Teams get to start playing tomorrow. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Thanks again for joining us. I'll be up in a second and see you all in a little bit. See you in a few weeks.
Sounds good.